G'day guys, my name's Josh. You can call me Jar Woodle, and welcome back to 7 Days to Die in Alpha 18, where I am back to build another base. But specifically, I'm back to improve upon the design that I just showed you guys in the last base build episode, the easiest horde base ever, where we took as little materials as possible and as little time as possible, threw something together to try and nullify the horde. And it actually worked out really well, to the point where I think we can tinker with it just a little bit, go back to a design similar to what I used back in Alpha 17, and just kind of make it a bit more of an XP farm. We have something already that can make the horde completely redundant, but I want to know if I can build something that's also going to enable us to throw some mollies, throw some grenades, harvest the only thing that zombies are good for, their lovely skill points, and make it a little bit easier for us to actually exploit the horde rather than just avoid it completely. So I've got an idea in my head which should work out pretty well, but before I head out into the park to build the idea that's rolling around inside the old noggin upstairs, I need to head down into the as yet uncompleted portion of the Hall of Legends and say thank you to 3 more awesome people for all their support. I've been trying to build it, I've been trying to do the construction work. It takes a long time to build something this big, and I just haven't got around to it yet. Christmas has been a hecker's time for me lately, so I haven't had a chance to fix it up yet, but it will get there eventually. But today, we are welcoming into the new wing of the Hall of Legends, Moomstar, FKN Donnie, or fucking Donnie, mate, and John S. the Fourth. So thank you 3, and thank everybody else, both in the new wing and the old wing and the MVP tower, for all of your wonderful support. Man, it's really getting big now, isn't it? It's the biggest building in Shaboodle Park 2, and I freaking love it, as it should be. So, let's head over out to where the easiest horde base was, this little tucker over here, and we're going to build it just next to it, because it's the same kind of idea, but instead of relying on all the zombies to do all the digging underneath and, like, making it as effective as it could be, I'm going to do some digging, but I'm also going to throw some, just sprinkle a little bit of, little extra awesome on top of it, just to make it a little bit better, and serve us a little bit more. So the idea that I've got in my head, I have done before, there's something similar back in Alpha 17 in the OG Shaboodle Park. You may remember, at least it's the one that stands out to me the most, the original AFK base that I built, the first attempt I had at an actual AFK base, and essentially it was just a base built on top of a pit where the zombies would run up and the floors in their pathing would send them down into the pit underneath. They would land, they would run up a ramp back to the start and just keep going around in an infinite cycle. Now, that was the only way that I could do it back then to stop them breaking stuff, but with the new discoveries we've made in Alpha 18 in the park here, because there's so many bases here now, there are other ways we can do it that means we can kind of keep them in like a little pen and also have them there if we want to kill them later on. So we don't have to send them on the walkabout, we can just have them there, like it's got like little zombified pets, I suppose, down below. So what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to build this out of flagstone, because that's like the most versatile early game building material. You can get it nice and easily, and it has all of the shapes available to you, which is very nice. And I'm just going to clear out a little bit of an area. I'm right in the corner over here. Maybe I should build it a little bit more this way, give myself a little bit more working room, dig myself a little bit of a pit just here just to start with, just to bang in some flagstone blocks to give like my anchor points. You always need anchor points when we're building anything in the sand biome, because sand has terrible structural integrity, as I talk about quite a lot. So always make sure you're grounding your bases, especially if you're going down or over a cavity, you're grounding it somewhere that actually has some support for it. This is going to be the footprint for my base. It's a 7x7 square. Not too big, because you don't want to build anything too big when you're kind of balancing right on the edge of the physics engine in 7 days. The physics engine is not very thorough at the best of times. Sometimes there's little glitches and little things that just don't quite make sense. So you don't want to like test the boundaries. You don't want to test your luck with the physics in this game. So I'm just going to go 7x7, reasonably small, but that's going to be the footprint of the base itself, because then on the outside of this, I'm going to go around another layer and put in my lovely wedge chips. Wedge chips have always served me well, especially in Alpha 18. They're even more OP now than they were back in Alpha 17. And what we're going to be doing, I'll just give you a little example here, is just getting our wedge chips like that. We're going to go on face, that one there, and just get them sloped down like that. Pretty simple, pretty vanilla. We've done this a lot in other things, having like little zombie slippery slides. We're going to put that along there all the way around the outside. We're also going to make sure we put in our little corners here as well. Let's go like this, go copy rotation, make sure it's right. No, you gotta be annoying for me. Let's go simple rotation. Then right in the corner where I need it to be. Can you please just go? Why are you being so difficult? Why are you doing this to me? There, like that. So you gotta put the corner pieces in as well. Very important to make sure you've got like that little skirt skirting all the way around. That's why it's called a skirt. There you go. We're learning something. I've continued to dig out the little trench that I've got for it here. Now, you could build this on ground level. You don't have to do this much digging because digging is tedious as balls when you don't have an instant destroy gun. So you can't just dig giant holes very, very quickly. It takes a long time to do. And who's got the time for that? So you can build this up on ground level as long as the pit in the middle clearly goes down. You can't really have a pit that doesn't go down anywhere. So what I'm going to do here is just put, I was talking before about that support ring, having something to support the actual base itself. And we're going to do the same thing here all the way around the outside. So we have the support ring on the inside, we've expanded the base, so now we have the support ring on the outside. And we're just going to copy what is happening on the inside of this on the outside. Now this is something that I see a lot of people getting confused about in the comments. Like, I have a lot of comments asking me how this works. So I'll quickly run you through it. You got the wedge tips on the inside there, and you can see that if I try and place a block against the wedge tips, it's only going to go out to this next kind of row of blocks out here. It's in the game's mind, this wedge tip is taking up this whole space here. So if we get another wedge tip and we kind of match that design on the other side, that's the wrong button, wedge tip like that, and we go on face and just get that going along there as well. In the game's mind and in the zombies pathing mind, which is why this works at all this space here is a solid block, just like over here is a solid block. So it sees this as a way to get across nice and easily, even though to you and me there's clearly nothing here. So that's how this is going to work. This whole platform in the middle is going to be supported by this ring on the outside here, even though there is no physical block between it. I know it doesn't make a lot of sense. As I said, the physics engine in this game is not the best, but we can exploit those little flaws in the physics engine to make these bases work how we want them to. So we're going to continue the support ring all the way around the outside and then get the wedge tips on the inside as well. And once we're done, we should have a nice floating platform right in the middle. Make sure we put the corner pieces in as well to make sure it looks its level best. Just because it's killing zombies doesn't mean it can look like some ugly, jagged-edged atrocity. And there you go. So now, if I get rid of all the blocks underneath here, I'll do this just nice and quickly because I can't bother doing it the long way. Go over to here and go rid of that block there and get rid of all the blocks that are supporting all of this. Everything in the middle here is still standing. Look at that. It's now hovering up in the air. In the game's mind, it's all nice and supported, but to you and me, there is nothing actually attaching this to the physical real world, which means underneath here, we have a whole lot more options of what to build. It should be nice and easy. The only thing I am kind of worried about here, though, is just how the zombies path differently on the ramps now, on the steep wedges. So in Alpha 17, this worked like a charm. They came up, they slid down, it was all easy peasy, lemon squeezy, but now, I'm not sure how they're going to do it. We might have to get rid of the corner pieces to give a slightly bigger gap, I'm not sure. We'll get this built, we'll run a couple of tests just to make sure, and then tinker with the design down the track, just to make sure we have it all nice and fit as a fiddle. If we go into this without testing what we actually need to do, then we're going to have a bad time, and before you know it, you'll have a cop banging down your door, and you'll lose everything. I've gone ahead and I've dug out the pit underneath the floating platform. Now, this is 10 blocks deep, so what, it's going to be, what, 9 by 10, I suppose, as a cube. Now, you don't have to build this quite as deep. You do need to dig it deep enough, though, to keep the zombies away from your base and kind of put them down into a little pen down the bottom. Now, digging is, as I said before, a bit of a chore in 7 days, but if you just dig out the walls of this, like if you ignore all the blocks in the middle, you just dig the walls and then dig like a 1 block high or 2 block high level across the bottom of it, you'll collapse all the blocks at the top, and especially in the sand biome, that'll just go collapse down into sand you can pick up. So you can make your life a whole lot easier if you just use the physics to your advantage and not have to worry about digging out every single block in this whole volume. But now I've got that there, I'm going to line the walls with some flagstone. In fact, I might have to go 1 deeper on each of the walls as well, just to get it off. That's going to be underneath that. So it's going to impact our ring of stability, but that's okay. If I dig this from the bottom, if I start placing the blocks down the bottom first, then I'm not going to have to hang anything off the top. So I can go like this, start at the bottom and build my way up to meet it. That will be fine. I just want some reasonably strong walls around the outside of this before I start mucking around with anything in the middle of it, just to make sure I don't have any cave-ins. Once I've got the design down, we may not need the wall at all. So if you're watching this and building along at the same time, maybe hold off on building this to send the rest of the episode, just to make sure that we may actually not need this. Don't want to waste your time and your resources. Before I go too much further, I'm about halfway built with the pit underneath. I want to quickly run a test on some zombies to see how they go. Let's quickly get some cheerleaders out here. A couple of Chelseas. Get their attention over here, please. How are you guys going to go? Straight in, straight down, easy as you like. Okay, so that worked out pretty well. Although, it did just kind of go straight for the corner they were next to. Let's try a couple of different angles as well. Make sure you guys are destroying all my hardly placed blocks down there. Let's go over here. Let's get a couple more cheerleaders like you. Now, I'm only testing Chelsea for the start. There's also a lot of comments asking about Cops and Demolishers. Cops and Demolishers path the same way as every other zombie. By the way, they pathed down and went straight down into the guts straight away. No worries there at all. So I can test Cops and Demolishers right now, but unless they actually go into their specific attack routine, they will run and path the same as every other zombie. So testing a Chelsea is the same as testing a Cop for that little result when we ended up there. So let's keep on building this. At least we know now that the ring up here that's holding up the platform will still work even in Alpha 18. It's finally all done. I'm not going to bother doing the floor just yet until I know exactly what floor I need to build. But the wall's all there and nice and stable. Everything is here. In fact, if I turn stability on, you can see the plate up the top, the hovering plate, is nice and stable. Nothing there is light green. So we are all good to go. We are ready to rock and roll. Let's quickly grab them. I'm sure the chainsaw is going to give me. Yep, the level 1 chainsaw always is. I feel like the loot tables are on a pattern. Whenever you loot the first thing for that session, it always gives you the same thing, which is kind of fun. It's now midday, which plays the midnight sounds because that's how 7 days works. So what I'm going to do down the bottom here, how am I going? I might have to extend. If I extend this slippery slope up the top here, is that going to make them bonk their heads on the inside ramp? I'm not too sure. I might have to give it a quick old test because I want to extend that down to be the width of one solid block down here. This is why I was talking about don't build this whole outer wall yet until we know for sure. Because if I extend that one more block, then I would have had to have built everything one block in. And it would waste a lot of time. So let's see if we can just test that out first. This is why I test things so you guys don't have to. Where is my regular wedges? Regular wedge, grab that one, copy the rotation of the slim ones. No, that's not what I wanted. That was on face. I want to copy rotation. There we go. So if I go like this, can a zombie still squeeze their way down there, or are they going to get jammed up? They're going to get jammed up. Okay, there we go. That's why you test things. That's why we have to double check. Now, I know I'm going to get this comment a lot, so I'll quickly just build it and demonstrate to it. I can't put the normal wedges out onto the top of the wall because now, in the zombies' brains, there is now a gap here. So you're going to put this block. That is now a gap in the game's AI, which means the zombies won't see this as much of a path. So if I spawn a couple of cheerleaders out there just to test my theory, I'm thinking maybe 1 or 2 might get lucky and fall down here, but they should probably go around either side and try and get across here because they see that as a workable path, but not this one. Let's give that a try. Let's test the theory. Yep, straight around over to where they can fall over to the other side. So I was correct. That is why you cannot do that. Even though it looks basically the same as what it was just a second ago, this is now completely different in how the game thinks. Let's get rid of all these wedges, put it back to how it was. We just can't make the slope even nicer on the inside, which is a bit of a shame. I'm thinking down to the bottom of the pit, I'm going to actually do a similar thing to what I did with like the moats and the zombie-proof wall and all that kind of stuff. Made myself like a little bowl down the bottom there to keep them all in the same spot directly underneath there where I can put like a Molotov hatch or something. But because this is such a big area, instead of just going like the 4 tall like wedge tip slide that I normally do, I'm going to go 6 on this one. So let's get myself some wood frames just to count things out. Just to make it a bit more obvious what things I'm using to count with and what's actually part of the build. Because for example, if you were digging this pit, you wouldn't need to dig out all these blocks. You could just use the regular terrain as the supports for it. So you dig like down to there, then go out a notch, then dig down a bit further, and out a notch, dig down. So like limit the amount of digging you actually have to do just to save yourself some time, or dig the whole thing. I don't know, do whatever you feel is fun. If you like digging, then by all means go nuts. Dig away, son. Have yourself a merry old time. I also need this one like that, just like that. So I'm gonna go like that and build that same thing all the way down into the middle. So I should bring it out to about here to give myself a nice flat area here that I can replace with flagstone to have a flat area to murder all the zombies in. That's the plan at least. So let's build that in each of the corners. Then we'll only have a little bit of area in the middle to fill up with the rest of the frames. Before I cover all this up with slopes and all sorts of wonderful things, I wanted to quickly show you guys, I've filled it up with wooden frames to show you guys all the blocks that I didn't need to dig out. It's almost like, it's more than 250 blocks that I dug out that you wouldn't need to. If you're doing this in survival with a shovel, you wouldn't want to waste all your time digging all these extra things when you didn't need to. So down the bottom here, if you're going to build something like this, if you just step it out a little bit, you'll save yourself so much time and effort and make your life just that little bit easier. The frames are just there just to show you, they don't actually need to be there. They're all supported by other things anyway. But now that you can see what's going on there, I can go back to here and do the same thing we've always done. Go on face and get you just like that. I mean, the frames help me placing these things down, but if you had the sand there or the dirt or whatever you're building on, you could just go against that as well. And all the way around, just like that, we're making ourselves another zombie slippery slide. They all like the slide. They like their super fun happy slide so much that that's all I'm building for them these days. Giving themselves like a theme park of death. We'll go around, make ourselves a nice little pit like this. So they will come down here. They will get trapped in the middle. They will try and jump their way out, but they will have no means to escape. So they'll just stay down here awaiting their own execution. Gave it all a swift little paint job just because I hate the texture of flagstone. Flagstone is an ugly textured block and I wanted to get rid of it as much as I can whenever I see it. So I've painted all of the slopes like blood red because that's all the danger parts. So that's where all the zombies are going to go to their death. Some nice little grills down the bottom to soak all the blood away and some concrete blocks up the top just to kind of take away that disgusting texture and make it all look a bit smoother, a little bit nicer. But with that done, I mean, that's the main mechanics of this base all sorted out. So what we're going to do, the reason why I build most of these things, in this one especially, in odd numbers, is that so there is always a block that sits right in the middle for things like this. So what we can do, we can go over here, we can get rid of that one, and just like pop out that block. Oh, we get some disgusting flagstone block again. Let's go like this, just go like that. There we go, just like save our retinas from having to look at it any further. Because then when we're standing here, we can get ourselves some Molotovs or whatever else we might have that we can lob down there. You can fire arrows down there if you want. You can do whatever you want to do, and you can just start setting yourself on fire like I always freaking do. Come on, Josh, get it together. But you can start lobbing Molotovs down that little hatch, if I can get it through the hole, like that, and setting wherever the zombies are down there, because they'll just accumulate and congregate down there all throughout the horde night. So you can save your mollies, stand in here, and when like you've got a whole wave of zombies down there, go over to the edge, throw some mollies down like that, set them all on fire, rake in the experience points, and when they're all dead, a new wave will come and go down the bottom to await their burning as well. So it would work out pretty well, I think. It should work at least. I'm going to build myself a nice little hut on the top because I need to account for cops as well. If I don't give myself some sort of cover up here, cops will stop and fire at me. So I need to have some sort of protection away from them so they go down into the pit as well. This is the house I've knocked up just on top of it. It's just a wooden house, not much. I mean, I am kind of conscious of how much weight I'm putting on there. If I go show stability, you can see, I mean, well, the ramps a bit how you going, but like the middle bar in the middle, I've just put bars in there to account for vultures. Just a design choice. You don't have to have that. You can just leave the vultures till later if you really wanted to, but I like having it there just in case. But you can see most of it's reasonably structurally stable. If I used a heavier material, that would go down much, much faster. So let's get rid of the green paint and go back to this. Now, what I'm going to do, just to answer some of the comments I get all the time, because as I said, I get lots of comments that kind of repeat themselves a lot. I answer a lot of the same questions. What do you want to do about cops here? What I'm going to have the windows here for now, but I'm going to block them up for the moment, just to prove to you that if the cop doesn't see you, the cop will not stop and start vomiting. So if you keep yourself nice and covered, you will be A-okay. So I'm just going to block up all these windows with just some half blocks, just so I can get rid of them later. I know which ones are which, just like that. And if I stand in this little hut and have cops running at me, they won't know how to get to me. They won't stop and start vomiting and break down the house. They will go down into the pit like everybody else. So let's get this all blocked up. We'll spawn a couple of cops and I'll just show you exactly what happens. Right, so here we go. Here is me inside my little hut with no windows and just some bars. I'm basically in jail at this point. I've got a pit of death below me, a sky full of vultures above me. Not a good time to be me, but all the windows are blocked up, so there is no line of sight from outside into where I am. And over here, I've got 5 cops willing and ready to go, but from their perspective, they cannot see me at all. In fact, what I will do just quickly though is I'll open up a gap on the other side over here, just to make sure their pathing is as I want it to be. XP. All right, here we go. Let's go like this. Let's get their attention. All right, how's that going to go? You guys going to come? Oh, the AI on, please. There we go. All right, they're now thick and fast and moving towards me. They'll run up and go straight down into the pit just like that. At no point do they get a line of sight to me, so at no point will they stop and start to vomit. So this will handle cops just fine if you don't give them a window to see you in. I mean, sure, if you have windows there, they will see you and they will start to vomit, but if you keep yourself hidden away, then you got nothing to worry about. You know what? I quietly like this aesthetic. I mean, clearly there used to be windows, but they're boarded up now, so I'm safe as houses in here. Like, the vultures up there, my only really concern, can see me. But down below, no one can. I put a door here just to get in and out. Now, yes, you can fall into this yourself. You probably don't want to. If you somehow misjudge that jump, you'll go down into your own death pit or by yourself. Have to, like, frame yourself to get out of here or something. But look, it's a one-block gap, which you can take just by sprinting. You don't even need to jump. You can just sprint in and out. But if you somehow muck that up, yes, you will go down. What you can do, actually, you can go back to one of the old tricks I used to use and get yourself some hatches, because if you go like that and you spin that one around like that, you can use that as a drawbridge, but then you can open it up and the zombies still won't see it. Look, it's a little bit ugly, it doesn't quite look how I would want it to be, but you can save yourself the small risk of sending yourself down into the vat of death just by putting those there like that, if you so wanted to. The zombies, if you leave them down, the zombies will use it as a path. Keep that in mind, so make sure you lift them up. It's a liability I don't think you need to add, but there you go. If you wanted to do that, you could do that, but there you go. That will work out pretty bloody well. I'm going to run a horde through it just to make sure everything is going as I would like it to, but as a design, as a build, as a mechanic, that should work without any sort of issues at all. Okay, here we go. I've got a day 10 horde just chilling outside my walls out here. They're all out there ready to come and take on the new base I've built for them, but just inside, I've added a little ring of half blocks just to kind of get myself at a slightly better angle to throw the molotovs down. Hopefully set myself on fire a little bit less, but I've also added a little door here as well, so if a cop or something does go down there without me having any knowledge of it, I can close the door, that'll stop them shooting up at me and breaking the bottom of my base as well. So just a little added security measure, plus it stops me falling down the middle of the hole because I am a muppet and I will absolutely do that by accident at some point. So we'll open the door for now though and go back, actually before I go back in my body, let's turn that AI on and get them all coming in. Yes, here they go. Just want to make sure that they all go down into the pit of death like I want them to. Here we go, and up and in, and yep, straight down the super fun happy slide down to where they will soon be all murdered. So I'm gonna throw some molotovs down there if I had my bloody why sometimes it just doesn't, I go stuck in the ground or something and it doesn't allow it to, but I can stand here and lob molotovs all day to my heart's content and set them all on fire down below. Now look at that, they start to die, just racking up the experience points. I can throw molotovs all damn day. I can just wait until there's an entire wave of zombies because they come in waves, or when they're all down there asking for a burning, that's when I'll send it down and send them all off to whatever comes after their zombie life. I can't see anything, so I'm just going to put a lantern down the bottom here just so I can see what these guys are doing down here. And they're all having a wonderful time. I mean, those guys are jumping on each other's heads. There's a little bit of collateral damage from them hitting each other, so I might have to like rethink that one a little bit. But so far, it's all going reasonably so good. Throw mollies in, just get them going. So there's spider zombies down here. They aren't immune. They don't jump over the gap. There's some dogs down here. They aren't immune either. So everything's fine down here. We know the cops are already. Now, demolishers are going to be a different story. Oh, they've actually managed to successfully break one of the blocks. That's a bit interesting. I was not expecting that to happen at all, which is kind of annoying. Maybe I have to... Why did that? I think it was just because they were all piled up to get underneath me. They were taking swings at each other and accidentally hit the zombie slide. That's a small problem. I was getting the same kind of results when I was building it underneath the AFK base over here. They were kind of accidentally breaking stuff by hitting each other. Not so much of a big problem. You might consider upgrading from flagstone, the weakest versatile material, into cobblestone, or maybe. That's not such a big deal. We'll definitely go in and just repair that little one for the moment. But before I do that, demolishers are going to be a problem. Especially as the zombies do punch each other. If a zombie punches the demolisher's button down here, he is going to break all of this. So keep that in mind. You do want to try and keep the zombie numbers down as much as you can. A constant stream of molotovs from up top will be a pretty good idea. If you leave them down here for too long, then sure enough, they will eventually probably accidentally break their way out. And after all, I did dig out this whole thing, so there's just wooden frames back here now, which is not great for stability. So don't let the zombies just mill around forever. There's something bad will happen if you leave the zombies unto themselves. But if you're here to harvest XP, then you can do that easily by throwing some molotovs down. I think actually the main issue that I was curious as to why they were successfully breaking down the walls when every other time I've run a zombie slide they haven't. And I think the issue actually was that I had the, you can't really see it right now, I had the hatch and those half blocks up the top here. So if I put a lantern down, so now I'm just standing on top of a hatch, I've got some sheets around to hold the hatch up, but I'm just standing in the middle and they've stopped breaking stuff. So I think it was just like me having that extra layer of blocks up the top just kind of changed their pathing a little bit and made them more aggressive. I'll go back to a more simpler design. Then now I can just leave them down here. They're just doing the jumpy thing. I'm still nervous about them accidentally hitting something occasionally by taking swings at other zombies, but for the moment, I mean, look, they've been down here for a while now and nothing is happening. So I think it was just those half blocks. It's always the things you least suspect are going to change things that muck something up for you. But everything seems to be running swimmingly now. There's a lot of zombies down here and no one's bidding on anything. Yeah, nah. See, I've left these zombies down there for a long time now and no one's doing any sort of damage. So I'm pretty confident in saying that it was just this stuff up here. But now that I know that they're down and not causing me any sort of issues anymore, let's open up the door and start lobbing down some fiery goodness. Those guys look very thirsty. Why can't I? What does that happen sometimes? You try to throw a Molotov, there we go, and it just doesn't want you to do it. You can get some serious power behind it as well. If you throw that like a fastball in baseball, damn it, you stand a lower risk of setting yourself on fire unless you're a total muppet like I am and just do it willy-nilly all the bloody time. I set myself on fire. Damn it, more than I set zombies on fire. I definitely need some sort of brew or something up here to keep myself out of the flames. Oh, there's a little bit of damage over there, but that's okay. That Molotov has disappeared again. But if you just keep them cold, you will be fine. Like, it's not a complete AFK base, I guess. Like, there's a little bit of a risk involved with the zombies getting, like, penned up in one little area. But it's pretty okay. It's pretty fine. It's not like the actual, like, the raised AFK base before, where you're up above and they target the pylons but can't get to them. So, I mean, it's a different style of doing it. It's not quite as effective as it was in Alpha 17, I suppose. But I guess there was a whole lot of updates between 7 and 18 specifically to stop people doing this kind of base. So it was worth a test. It still works a little bit. It's just not quite as overly effective as it used to be. But if you keep throwing mollies down, you'll be A-okay for the entire Horde night. No whackers. And look at all the experience you get. It's easy peasy. But anyway, guys, I reckon that's a pretty decent proof of concept. So it does actually work. It's just not quite as foolproof as it used to be. They do get a couple of lucky swings, and they do sometimes do a little bit of damage to the super fun happy slide. But that's okay. If we got that in mind and we know how to, like, kind of prevent it and circumvent it, what's that muppet doing? What are you doing beating on that stuff for? You didn't get caught up on that lantern? That's not okay. You stop that. I put the lanterns down to make it look cooler, and it just got in the way of that muppet. He decided to break some stuff, which is always good fun. But I'm going to have to leave this episode here and come up with some more designs. It's not perfect, but it's okay. At least now we know. So hopefully that answers a couple of your guys' questions. If you have any more, then please let me know. But I'll have to come back and build some more stuff and test some more things in another episode, because this episode is done. So thank you guys for watching. Most of all, thank you to all the patrons on Patreon who made this episode possible. If you liked it, make sure you hit the like button down below and subscribe to this channel. Follow me on Twitter. If I don't talk to you there first, I'll see you in the next episode. Have a good one.